relative to your appreciation of your experience, whatever derives at this point is meaningful or not meaningful, or it's kind of negative. And in that sense, you don't. I don't know how much this gets to what you're driving at, if you are, but in that sense, you don't feel so much, or I don't, of a sense of accomplishment as far as getting to a certain stage in life or age, because of the trappings that, as a result, you then qualify for. It's what you made of life at that point that enables you to appreciate, the situation. So those things are sort of marginal or tangential, even though they're helpful. If you don't have the appreciation or like the mindset where you can fit that in to appreciation, what is it? Well, it's something, and it's better than nothing, but it's still, I don't know if that sort of gives you. What was the question again?
It's, do you see any privileges or advantages or disadvantages of being older versus younger in your life?
Yeah, well, I think that pretty much just means what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's sort of up to you, me, as I would say, and not so much the sort of the idea of what you get by being older and what you do get is just a result of the formalities.
And then my last question is, do you feel any advantages or disadvantage of being different races in life?
Well, that gets a little complex in my experience too, as it should. I mean, that's what makes it sort of gives it the potential to be especially sort of meaningful. And as simple and unsimple as it might sound, I think the answer for me is yes and no. As you suggested earlier, these differences do and have been known to make a difference in the kind of experience somebody's looking at, and that's just the reality. Whatever, it's different according to where you are.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is make what you do out of that, which may not always be so easy. And in that sense, it kind of goes back to the first answer that I gave. It's sort of, you have differences, and depending on what you value, you work with those differences and achieve something or don't achieve something, whatever. You're kind of dissatisfied when you're trying to achieve something and you don't get it. On the other hand, part of it, it's like an athletic contest. It's a struggle. You don't have time to be thinking, well, am I trying to do this? And while I'm, wrestling with this guy, am I making any progress? You're learning, and all of that is going into it. And then, depending on how it turns out, it doesn't necessarily have to be a win. It can be something you feel, you made a pretty good showing at. And if you're serious in continuing along those lines, you take account of, the situation and, whatever the situation is, and try to learn from that and work on that to the extent your overall objective is improving. But a lot, the critical things are the things to me that you're just there and it's a situation you don't have a whole lot of time to think about, but you do well to prepare yourself, to be as capable as possible, and that involves, the thinking process. And then, hopefully you make the best of that and go on from there and make the best of that. So it's sort of like that. The disadvantages in these things, or what might be thought to be the disadvantages, can be proved to be, as far as your own personal development, sort of the most potentially rewarding things. But it's a question of how you approach it and what you make of it. And there are a lot of factors you mentioned, the social one, that go into that. A certain amount of it is your interest personally in making the most of a given situation, what making the most of a given situation means to you. So I found, kind of going back to the personal level again, that we best bet is to kind of always have a personal side that you can evaluate these things by. Because it's too easy to kind of get caught up in between one thing and another, work, whatever it is. And the external evaluation to the point it takes the place of you and what you are trying to be. Albeit that, advice or external sort of input can be a helpful thing. But what does it mean if you don't, if you can't make something of it for yourself, I guess is what I'm saying. So I think that would be my answer. I keep forgetting maybe it's this Otherness stuff, but I keep forgetting the exact wording of the question.